I'm most blessed to be here at Mount Shasta. Just north of the mountain. Came out with some friends to go on a walk today and found this lovely, lovely stone that just called to me with this incredible view of Mount Shasta. And it feels like the place to begin the second of the series of Creating Toning Circles videos. And what's been coming to me is the strong need for preparing. This was driven home to me while I was in the North Island of New Zealand in the Hokianga region when we went to do a new moon ceremony, and when I asked the land for permission to sing, it said no. And it was because our group was not harmonized. We were not in a high enough state. And that particular piece of land was very healthy, very native bush, and you could feel the energies of it when you got close to it. And they did not want the kind of upheaval that was going on in our group because our group was not harmonized. We were not in alignment. We hadn't grounded ourselves. We hadn't cleared our energy fields. It is so incredibly important in these current times to be very, very aware constantly of what vibrational state we're in, what we are truly feeling, not the masks we're trained to wear, the personas we're expected to give forth to society, culture, family, friends, but to be really, really aware of what we're truly feeling, how we're truly vibrating, because that vibration is what is creating the reality we experience around ourselves. So when we take time to be out in nature and to take time to listen to Gaia, to feel the earth, to feel the rhythms, to feel what's going on with the elements and the elementals and the spirits of the land and all the creatures and insects and birds and animals and rocks and stones and the sun, the weather. When we take time to attune with all that, we're in a much better position to make good choices about informed, aware choices about every little thing that comes up in our lives. I've just been through several experiences of buying a car while I was in New Zealand through someone here in the U.S., and just the dance back and forth between when I would get in a low, fearful state and start worrying about the whole thing and the images I was projecting into my possible futures, and when I would ground and center and settle and go into the highest possibility I could imagine, and then really hold on to that vision as far as what I wanted to create, and how what I call a wild ride, the transition from New Zealand back to the U.S. A couple of weeks ago was absolutely amazing. But I was constantly feeling my way. I've had many images come up through the years about letting go of my conscious mind and getting all this information to make conscious choices about things, and my rational mind, and the difference of feeling. I mean, I've had many different creatures with long feelers show up in my tent, land on my finger, show up in my drawings. It's been an amazing reminder over and over and over that we can more accurately find our way through life by feeling our way than we can by thinking, because the thinking rational mind carries so much of the fears, the things that we've experienced in the past. So when we come together to work in a toning circle, we need to, each group, each one of you needs to find ways that you can let go of all that rational mind, worry, concern, thoughts, beliefs about how everything's going in the world, and really drop down deep into your heart. And from that heart place, send down roots into the core of the earth, so that your heart is deeply connected to the heart of the earth. And I really strongly recommend using the Primus meditation that Naisha Azian has put out there to the world. It is, to me, it has just been incredible in helping me very quickly be able to get into that grounded, connected space, not only to the earth, but also to source energies directly for yourself in seconds. So do check that out. But for now, what we're focusing on with the toning circles is doing the preparation that gets you connected to the earth, and also this clearing, this cleansing. Our whole world is involved in a massive detoxification, purification, cleansing process on all levels, not only personal, but on institutional, organizational, governmental. All the systems are having to be really examined, and a lot of them will simply collapse. And it's really important to put attention on looking for the new forms, the new growth that's coming out of all the supposed disasters, all these incredible things that are happening to collapse the old systems, the old ways of life, just wiping out a way of living and being faced with a blank slate of what do we create now. And it's an incredible time. I got to witness this when I visited Christchurch, New Zealand. I had been there 9 days before the first big earthquake, and now, many years later, was able to go back, and where I had always dreaded taking buses, I got to visit this incredible, beautiful, light-filled, color-coded bus system that the city has created since the earthquake destroyed the old. And so I was shown very vividly how these seeming disasters can have some incredibly wonderful effects of creating a blank slate, a new canvas to paint something new upon in our lives. And so when we come together and to create these toning circles, that's what we have to do within ourselves, is kind of wipe out the old slate and open our hearts to aspects of ourselves that we may never have experienced before. We may never have experienced the kind of connection both to the earth energies and to the source that is possible. When I flew back into the US from New Zealand this last trip, I landed on one day, bought a car on the next day, and then had 3 nights to find a place to stay before the room that I'm now renting became available. And listening to guidance, I ended up at the waterfalls in McLeod, which is just south. And after all the horrible energies for me of having to go through airports, several, security, going through security, customs, all that sort of rigmarole, going through the tension of buying the car and finalizing the paperwork and getting a new cell phone and having to learn how to deal with that. It was an absolute blessing to be out in the middle of nowhere. The temperatures were freezing, so nobody else was out there, just a few brave souls. And I got to sit with the water, and the water showed me this incredible cleansing process that was happening, of how the strong flow was coming and then would bash into these rocks, and all this turbulence was being created, but it was aerating the water, it was lightening it up, it was purifying it, cleansing it, allowing it to shift. And after all this turbulence, the water had this fall to a pool where it kind of gathered itself and then peacefully moved on down. The next section of the river was quite peaceful. So it was a very interesting metaphor to me, both for what was going on with me personally and also what I see happening with the collective, with our culture at this time. There's tremendous movement. It's a rapid moving time, and things are moving right along, and the turbulence is stirring things up and bringing fresh air, oxygenation into the whole process, and then we're boom into a new level, and hopefully we'll be returning to more peaceful times eventually, once we get through this passage. So toning, making sound, is a way of moving energy through your body, of moving energy rapidly through your body. You can check out my Creational Sounding series that goes through a lot of the releasing sounds and invoking sounds and, working with sound in different ways to shift your energy. And that needs to be done as a group and by each individual, hopefully before they come to the group, in order to prepare yourself to be in this higher consciousness place where you can really bring through beautiful, loving, light-filled energies to gift to the earth. Last June I was called to Ayers Rock. Actually, it turned out to be Kata Tjuta nearby Uluru in central Australia to do ceremony. And when I first arrived, I spent time on some tours where we had Aboriginal elders as our guides. And one of the questions I asked was about the burning that they do, why they do that. And what I was told was that the burning clears away all the dead debris, the inedible growth that is no longer viable. Animals can't eat it, and so they burn it, and that allows room for the new, particularly the native plants, to come up that attract the animals, which then provide food for the Aboriginal people. And I've been thinking about this as I've been watching all of the fires in California, both in the Napa area and then down in the Southern California fires. And when I ask I was just filled with so much emotion, compassion for those people who are having such huge, sudden transformations, total transformations of their lives. And I said, what is this? And what I saw was out of the charred black embers, these green shoots of new growth coming. So what I'm understanding now is that the elements are there to help us. We humans need to wake up and really look at the world we've created and look at the dead, non-viable, toxic stuff that we've created in our lives and allow our lives to transform in something that is much more connected to the earth and connected to the elements and truly alive and soul nurturing as well, getting our connection to source energies back. So I have found through the years that taking time to go out in nature, and particularly in beautiful, healthy spots, singing to the earth, being with other like-minded people, and using our human sounds, our dancing movements, our prayers, our intentions to gift human energy back to the earth is a very health-producing activity. It's a whole-making activity, both for each individual that participates and for the group as a community. So I wish you all well. I hope that you will gather people and get out on the land and start toning, singing, sounding, dancing, giving the earth your energy. Namaste.